You've manifested yourself into a human I can depend on to bring me happy.
You're here for a Captain's Log. I'm Brian Kreutz, she's Lily Fox-Lim, and this episode is a third part to an interview with Julie Caitlin Brown.
Yes, you heard that right with your keenly listening Ferengi ears, Trekkies. A third part, which is practically an unprecedented moment in our Star Trek biopic interviews. And what's not unprecedented is the utopian style Roddenberry story of stories that we've heard over the years that was shared from Julie's perspective on women and integral roles and Star Trek's part in that.
Absolutely, Lily. Also, stories and perspectives on the importance of women in Earth's history, as well as minorities and all alien species, told through a looking glass into an inclusive world. Check out this set of clips which sums up the earlier parts of the Star Trek franchise.
Ongoing mission to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life forms and new civilizations, to boldly go where no man has gone before.
After watching that, Gene Roddenberry's Star Trek universe looks quite entertaining and explorative, yes, which it is. Well, we have some breaking news here on A Captain's Log.
Oh, yes, we do. Star Trek Strange New Worlds is expected to premiere soon, coming up in summer 2025, with a potential release window ranging from June to the end of August on Paramount Plus. So, of course, the official description in Season 3, when we reconnect with the crew of the USS Enterprise, still under the command of Captain Christopher Pike, played by Anson Mount, they face the conclusion of Season 2's harrowing encounter with one of Lily's favorite archenemies, the Gorn!
Except not these Gorn. These are scary Gorn.
Oh, they are. They're not like the cool, campy original series ones. Vasquez rocks. But new life and civilizations await, including a villain that will test our Enterprise characters' grit and resolve.
Ooh, an exciting twist on classic Star Trek. Season 3 takes characters both new and beloved to new heights and dives into thrilling adventures of faith, duty, romance, comedy, and mystery. with varying genres never before seen on any other Star Trek. Trek it out.
Star Trek is such a flavor-filled Ferengi-frenzied franchise with Klingons, Romulans, Borg, Vulcans, and yes, the first Kobliad, played by our guest Julie Caitlin Brown.
Ooh, but Vulcans wearing Star Trek film attire that were formerly humans. Check out our Season 3 first look of Star Trek Strange New Worlds before we get back to Julie Caitlin Brown's interview.
I was able to jury-rig the Kirkovian serum that turned human Spock back into a Vulcan. Should be able to do the same for us, only in reverse.
The sensory change is brief. The feeling is instantaneous. I will guide you through the sensation until you are acclimated, which should not take long. Physical adjustments follow soon after. I would suggest a deep breath. By the time you reach 3, it should be over. 1, 2, 3.
Oh, 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 oh,
The emotions feel
overwhelming. Oh, I cannot handle this.
You don't feel anything?
No. And to be honest, I'm a little jealous. That looks like fun.
This feeling is unusual.
My perception is increased.
Everything I once found dull now seems to be
fascinating.
I wonder if the serum did not work on you because you're lanthanite.
Honestly, I had the same problem with LSD in the 1960s and the 1990s and last July.
Since Pelia cannot become Vulcan, I can cover her part of the mission.
I suppose I can direct you from the bridge. 5 Vulcans should be more than enough down there.
4 1/2.
Spock is only half Vulcan, whereas the 4 of us
are fully Vulcan.
Is that not logical, Spock?
Indeed, it is.
Wow. Your ears are so pointy.
Number 1, 4 1/2 Vulcans to beam down. Energize.
Status report. Mitchell?
They've entered the structure.
That was fast.
All areas inside the structure are secured.
Well, this will likely take a few hours. There's a very complex...
Radiation normal.
What? Already?
Enterprise, the energy system is now repaired.
All atomic levels are nominal. The energy source is functioning perfectly.
You sound upset.
Well, yeah. They're making me look bad.
We have completed the mission. You may return us to Enterprise.
Thought this would be a bit more exciting. But whatever. Hello, shore leave.
I haven't even broken into a sweat.
Welcome back.
I believe we will still be able to reach Permanente 3 within expected travel parameters.
I'm almost disappointed not to be able to take further advantage of my temporary Vulcan abilities.
Agreed. My communication style has never been so efficient.
How was the mission for you, Mr. Spock?
Ironic, because I was constantly reminded that I was logically the least Vulcan member present.
Don't worry. That's about to change. Any second now.
There's Chapel. What was that subvocalization?
What do you see?
For reasons unknown, the Karkovian serum does not appear to be working. It appears that we will remain Vulcans indefinitely.
A captain's log returns in a moment.
So welcome back to Broadcast Television Source for Star Trek news, interviews, and all the ship's crews. This is a captain's log. Now, Julie Caitlin Brown, filmmaker, musician, singer, mom, actor, writer, triathlete. Julie is perhaps best known in her Hollywood role as Natoth in the first season and 5th season science fiction television series Babylon 5.
But on this show, during the 3-part exclusive interview, we've already learned so much about her as a tremendously gifted human with quadruple amounts of talent and more. So before we get to her role as Vekor in Star Trek The Next Generation's Gambit 2-part episode with questions, BK has a comment on Julie's character's name and more.
Yes, I do.
To share with us
Yes,
all.
Lil. Before we review a cool scene of Julie as Ty Kajada, or as Commander Sisco called her, Ty Kajada, tomato, tomato, who knows? But Julie's character is memorable, even having her own trading card. Now, this scene is worth a little peek in Deep Space Nine's Season 1 back in 1993. Have a look.
Making a fatal mistake.
3 passengers were on your ship. 2 bodies are in our morgue. Unless the ghost of Vantica is...
Don't patronize me, Commander.
Isn't it more likely that some accomplice did this.
Rayo Vantica is obsessed with his own survival. He's prolonged his life through the use of drugs, cryogenics, transplants. As a medical supervisor in a high-security penitentiary, he used prisoners for his illegal experiments in cellular longevity. He's organized raids on government labs to steal bioregenerative research. I promise you, when he started that fire on board my ship, he had a plan to survive. I'm not sure what that plan was, but I'm convinced it succeeded.
Yeah, it's awesome. Even though you were just a guest star, you still had a big role. Usually guest stars are sometimes easy to forget and don't play such an important part, but you really did in this episode.
Yes, thank you. That was a great part. And you know, when I did Vekor in The Next Generation, they apologized to me. They go, look, you know, this is being directed by a friend of yours, and honestly, we just loved you in that other character, and we really need someone that's going to be able to go toe-to-toe with Patrick. And I went, oh, okay. And they said, yeah, but it's not as big as the part of Ty. And I went, I don't care. It sounds fun. And so I did it, and I loved it. I mean, Vekor, and I've told the story already about, you know, Aerosmith and everything, and doing my own stunts and all of that. But to be on the bridge with Jonathan Frakes and Patrick Stewart, I met Michael Dorn when we did the firefight. You know, great guest stars on that show. You know, Robin Curtis had already been a friend, and now we were working together. And then she came and guest starred on, I think she came and guest starred on my show too. I can't remember, that was her or that was Sarah Douglas? No, that was Sarah Douglas. But it's fun when you like show up and you go, oh, I didn't know you were doing this. You know, it's very fun.
You know, it was the same year too, 1993, right? Like two different shows, but the same franchise on the Paramount Live.
In Gambit, your character is a mercenary on the ship, and there's a clear lack of trust between the characters in the episodes. I feel like that was intentional, which totally works.
Yes.
Did you develop that sense of distrust yourself, or was it something the director guided you on, especially when Riker comes aboard? Of course, we know your character clashes with Stewart's Galen, but your performance really brought out that distrust. And I can still picture your expression from the episode. Every time you turned away from the console, the distrust was so clear in your eyes.
When you are playing someone who kills for a living, and I've played a lot of people who've, you know, been murderers or been suspected of being a murderer. Like I said earlier, they have to believe they're right. I don't care. I just want my money. And the true nature of a mercenary is they're a gun for hire. They don't have any moral compunction about what they're doing, whether it's right, wrong, or indifferent. I think the frustration was that, and what we were trying to set up from the very, very first scene was that Galen had infiltrated us, right? Because you got to remember, they drop in and Galen's already there. We all know he's Patrick Stewart. We all know he's Jean-Luc Picard. What the hell is he doing on this ship? So we get a little exposition, a little backstory. And when they try to come save him, you know, we start finding out, oh, there's a Vulcan mind weapon and all this other stuff. And what my character's job was to demonstrate what jeopardy he was in. If these people figure out that he's not who he says he is, Vekor's going to kill him. It's not going to be Richard Lynch's character. It's going to be me. I'm going to take him out. And so, you know, because there was a couple other non-aligned world henchmen, but they didn't really have the lines I had. They didn't have. And so when they hired me, they wanted a physically imposing, and I am, I'm 6 feet tall. They wanted someone that could go up against, you know, leads of the show and not be intimidated. But they didn't want another name because, you know, they had Robin in there and she had been Savak. They had Richard Lynch and he was big. So budget wise, and the fact that it's an interest. It's why I ended up doing the trans character on Vekor, because you weren't sure. Is that a man playing a woman?
Yeah.
Or wait a minute, because they don't. I am a character actor. Most of the time, you don't recognize me in the part that I'm in. You go, that was you? Mm-hmm. Because I'm acting.
You know, but as a deep Trekkie, Lily and I would like to believe that we can recognize you without the special effect makeups and everything that comes with it.
But that was the intention of that character. We needed to know immediately that Vekor was a threat, that Vekor was kind of crazy, and that Vekor really had no moral compass.
You know, it was an intense but fun episode, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because we were just waiting to see if Picard's Galen would get caught.
That was fun. That was another one where my calls were forced quite a bit. And I think that's probably why I wasn't invited back on Trek, because I'm a union baby. So I'm a Teamster, retail clerk, SAG, and equity actor.
Wow.
And I kept my hours. I knew what my hours were. And I told my agent, I said, by the way, da, 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 da. And so she went to them and said, you know, you forced your call and we need to get paid, da, 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 da. And I was never asked back to Star Trek.
Hey, look on the bright side. You were still in 2 great episodes for 2 different series. People would kill to be in just one.
Oh, definitely.
I actually auditioned for the part of on Voyager.
Wow. Could you imagine if you got the part? What was it like going into the audition for the part? And did you see other actors in the waiting room?
I mean, you always do. You know, and if I'm right, I'm so right it hurts. I'm not someone that you go, I'm not sure. You're either no or, oh yeah. Because I make very strong choices, but also because I'm very tall and dark, and you know, you're not going to look at me and say, well, she can just play, you know, third banana on the left. I'm going to stick out. So if you hire me, you have to have a reason for hiring me. I always used to say it was my part. It was mine before I walked through the door. I'm just fulfilling a subjective fantasy that I'm not privy to. But if the writer, producer, and the director go, oh yeah, that's what I saw. That's cool. Yeah. I would love someday, if God willing, I would love to go back on a Star Trek show. Did you hear that? Anybody hear that? I would love to go back because I think it would be a lot of fun to do it at my age. And I think the fans would dig it.
Yeah, that would be so fun if we saw you on future episodes of Star Trek. You have 2 fans right here that would love to see it. You hear that, Paramount?
Still look pretty good. I'm still pretty tough. I could get in there and punch some people out.
Agreed. You do still look good and confident to play any role, which is pretty cool. But I have one more question about the Gambit episode in Star Trek The Next Generation. Your character was murdered on Star Trek. I believe you were stoned to death. Set this straight. What do you remember?
Standing over where the artifact is being raised out of the ground.
Yeah.
Robin Curtis is going to put it together and decides to test it on me. So when when they find the pieces, they put the pieces together and blow me back. That was me doing that stunt.
Oh yeah! Now it's coming back. You were blown up at the Vulcan cave. That's right. Yes. Okay.
I got blown away by the burst from the Vulcan mind weapon.
Switching gears to Babylon 5, I'd like to ask you about your time on the show. So in the first season, you played Natoth, a Narn diplomatic attaché and a key member of the main cast. You had to wear heavy makeup every day while filming. Can you share what it was like playing this role and any standout memories you have from that season?
I got the part because an actress ripped the makeup off her face at 5 o'clock in the morning, had a panic attack. The other gal who had played Kodath couldn't wear the lenses. So by the time I got there, I was, you know, the attaché number 3. They did a makeup test on me, handed me the Bible, the video of the pilot, and said, you work tomorrow. I love the character. I love the cast, the crew, enjoyed Andreas Katsulas immensely, who I worked with very closely. The problem was the makeup was prohibitive. I was 34 years old. I had aspirations of other types of work besides working in prosthetics. They didn't want to pay me my rate. They were kind of lowballing what they were paying me because they thought that, hey, we could put anybody in the makeup. So I did 4 episodes. They offered me 5 years. I had to sadly turn it down. I came back as a human, Guinevere Corey, in very fun with Bruce Boxleitner. Very not Dick Tracy, Spencer Tracy and Katharine Hepburn. Very great repartee. Played this lawyer named Guinevere Corey, written by Peter David, fabulous guy. And then at the very end, in season 5, Joe called me and said, would you play Natoth one more time? We discover that she's not dead. She's in a prison on Centauri. And I'm like, oh, absolutely. So I did that and had a delicious time with Peter Jurassic and Andreas Katsulas. And, you know, the thing is, great writing is great writing. I understand they're going to start showing it again on a streaming service, and they did try to do either an animated or another live action. I wasn't invited to be part of that, which is fine, because when you think about it, you know, Mira's gone. I mean, there's like 9 people that are gone. Mira and Jeff and Michael O'Hare, my God, Richard. I mean, there's so many that have passed that it really is not the same show. There's no way it could be. You're not going to replace all of those people. They're too iconic. So it had to be something new and something different. And I wouldn't want to go back on that makeup. It was too much. The big red lenses ruined my sight. I had perfect sight till I did that show. And that, between that and computers, see ya. To this day, that's why I can't wear lenses, because they had to fold them and stick them in my eye. They were this big.
Really? Well, it was really believable as a viewer.
Fabulous role. Loved it. Loved what they let me do with it. Very, very difficult work. You don't have a life. I mean, that's the other reason I couldn't do it, is I had a child. And, you know, if you've got to be in bed by 10 so you can get up at 2:30 so you can drive an hour and get in the chair at 4, and you're 3.5 hours of makeup, and then you're working for 12 hours, and then you come out of that, you got to get all the makeup off, and then you got to drive an hour home. There's no life. And dramas are tough to do. Man, when I did Vekor, I went, oh, Poppy, this is what Mama wants, is a comedy. I mean, it's the easiest gig on the planet.
Yeah, no prosthetics, and you get to be yourself.
You do a table read, then you do a walkthrough, then you do a blocking, then you take adjustments, and then you perform.
There have been a lot of remakes of Babylon 5.
There has.
If you were asked to do a movie or miniseries but had to wear the Natoth makeup and prosthetics again, would you do it?
I would do a series again. I would do a movie. I would do a limited run, like a 6, miniseries, 6 eps. Star Trek, again, it would depend on the part, and it would depend on the money. One of the things that I think has been a misstep by SAG is that they have not fought hard enough for working conditions for people in prosthetics, and that it should be hazard pay. You should get a bump. It shouldn't be, oh, we're making less because you're in prosthetics. It should be, no, we're going to pay you more because you're working in prosthetics. It's harder on your face. It's harder on your lifestyle. It's tough. I think when Jim Carrey did The Grinch, everybody went, oh, because he told everybody, he said, this is insane. This is really, really hard. And to act through the layers of the makeup and be believable, that's also very tough. Mm-hmm. So I had dinner with Michael Dorn recently, and we talked about, the makeup and how in some ways it's very freeing and it's kind of fun. We call it mask work in the theater, but it's also very difficult physically. Your skin isn't breathing. When I was fully garbed as Natoth, the only part of my body that was exposed to air were my lips. Not even my eyes, my lips.
That's insane! What?
Wow, that's literally insane. 16 hours in prosthetics and you're getting a bump down and not a bump up. And I'd argue it's harder to act in prosthetics. Yes. I think BK would agree with me in saying that SAG should fight hard for actors that have to be in prosthetics all day.
All day, yes, I 100% agree.
There's a reason that Andreas ended up with the blue eye. He got conjunctivitis so many times in his eye that the doctor said, you can't put that lens back in.
Really?
And they're like, well, what are we going to do? He has a brown eyes. And then it said, this isn't very interesting. And he said, what if you put a small colored contact right on the iris so that the rest of the eye can breathe and heal? So he has a blue eye in one of the I think it's season 5.
Julie, do you have any final thoughts on Star Trek and what it is today?
I'm very excited for the Roddenberrys. I know Gene's son, Rod Roddenberry. It's extraordinary to see what they've done with the franchise and how they've developed it and kept it going. It's nice to see Picard, that when Picard came out, and to see people of a certain age being dynamic and sexy and strong. And that was very cool. Hats off to them.
You played an important role in the success too. Don't underestimate yourself. You appeared in 2 different Star Trek episodes, were part of another iconic show like Babylon 5, and also Sliders. Now, by representing these sci-fi characters, you're helping keep the genre alive and thriving.
You know, it's the fascinating thing about it is that I always understood, because I was a Trekkie, what fandom really was. And I understood that people are paying you with their hard-earned dollars for a job you already got paid for, to say thank you for coming out and saying hello to them. My God, what a gift. And when people walk up to my clients and say, I was going through a rough time, you really saved me, or I really identified with your character, or you helped me come out to my parents, or, you know, during COVID, I just really was losing my mind, and I knew that I could just talk to my friends about what the episode was, and it gave us some camaraderie, and we didn't feel so alone. This is why we're actors. And sci-fi is one of the best places to do it.
You know, when I was a teenager, it really spoke to me. And, you know, it's funny how something can be so simple and build your confidence. You know, I'm just your average dad with 3 kids. And even for me, it gave me a boost. And hey, I'm more like a sports guy than a Trekkie nerd. Kind of hits home. We both are, yes.
I'm a triathlete. Hello. Just because you're a nerd doesn't mean you can't be an athlete too. You know? A lot of athletes are nerds.
Julie, it has been a pleasure to have you with Bryan and I on A Captain's Log.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Julie, Bryan and I were so Ferengi fortunate to have you on A Captain's Log.
Thank you for including me, because Star Trek has been a huge part of my life. From when I first saw it as a kid, I would sneak out to watch it, and my parents were always like, oh my goodness, but I loved it. And, you know, Babylon 5 and Sliders, this world has been very gracious to me, and I'm so appreciative of the fans and the work that you're doing. And I hope to see you again soon. Thank you again.
And as we close this week's episode out, I want to encourage you Trekkies to keep exploring the vast landscapes of possibility that science fiction offers. Let these stories arouse your curiosity, challenge notions, uncover new perspectives on Star Trek's new worlds and civilizations.
And perhaps even fuel your own creative visions. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time on a journey to explore even more fantastic final frontiers.
Bye for now.
My old friend, I'm glad you've manifested yourself into a human I can depend on to bring me happy. Ooh. Thank you.